in the US, and we are very hopeful that the board will approve the 37-month, $7 billion program, under which we are very committed to do structural reforms. The Prime Minister and the President, when Excellency hosted them a few nights back in Islamabad, profusely thanked the government of China in terms of the support that we've had on the fund program as a long-standing partner of the country. And Excellency, we remain very grateful for that support and ongoing support that we have from you on ground and also from the government of China. Now we need to move forward, and that means we need to stay with the reform agenda, whether it's on the taxation side, whether it's on the energy side, whether it's on the state-owned enterprises and the privatization side, and inshallah we will stay the course. And the reason I'm mentioning this macroeconomic stability and is that this is the basic foundation in any economy. If you have to grow, if you have to build from a stable base. And alhamdulillah, we have reached that level now that we can say that we have a good foundation on which we can now build from here. And that's where this particular regional initiative it comes in at a very, very appropriate time. Now, coming to the subject at hand, CPEC Phase 2. And I just heard someone mentioning that, and I fully recognize that and endorse that CPEC Phase 1 was always about infrastructure. And what we got in terms of that corridor and the investment which came in, whether it was the road infrastructure or the port infrastructure or on the energy side, it was always supposed to be followed in terms of Phase 2, because Phase 2 was always going to be around the monetization of that infrastructure. Now, unfortunately, we missed the boat in terms of following through, but as I say, it's never too late. So I think the current focus that we have with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif sort of leading the charge, Minister Hassan Iqbal, who's sort of taking this forward as well, and all of us in the cabinet supporting the execution now of Phase 2. The way you have sort of now, positioned this is what others are also calling the new Silk Roads. And I think that's very important because this is the triage, or even bringing in other countries into as investment partners, I do think is a very, very important way of how we take it forward. The third pillar of this is it's being and going to be led by the private sector. And you have always heard me saying that the government's job is to provide policy framework and policy continuity. It's really the private sector which has to lead this country. And from that perspective, all the private sector industry icons, industry leaders who are in the room with you on the call, I see some of the industry leaders very much being on the Zoom call as well. I think it's absolutely the right thing to do. And the last thing is, or the second last thing from my side is, this is not a 10,000 feet level discussion. We have to come down in terms of very granular projects. What are those investment opportunities? Who's going to lead them, and which stakeholder has to play what role? And therefore, I'm very encouraged in terms of at least the project profiles which were sent to me over the last couple of days across priority sectors. It's agriculture, it's IT, it's climate, and a couple of others, textile, obviously. But I do think it's very critical that we bring down that discussion to a granular level so that we can actually execute, because 95% of the strategy is execution. And I think that's where I would encourage all our private sector leaders who are here to actually come in and take this forward, whether it's with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Again, they have played a huge role and have been, again, a very long-standing partner for the government. But it's all about, as our Prime Minister keeps on saying, is B2B as we go forward. So I think that's where this becomes extremely critical. The last thing I just want to mention, I understand the two DFIs, Saudi Park and Park China. I've had the opportunity to talk to the management of all DFIs, but certainly Saudi Park and Park China. And I do think they have now a fantastic opportunity to really step up, because these DFIs were set up. Of course, they can always do local business, but this was always about facilitating the corridors and facilitating our investments into our brotherly countries and facilitating investments from our brotherly countries into Pakistan. So I would encourage Saudi Park and Park China, and their MDs are here. And I had as I said, a good opportunity to talk to their boards as well, that this has to be the raison d'etre. This was always the raison d'etre. And at some point in time, we went into our local business, which is absolutely fine. But I think this is a fantastic opportunity for them to step up, to intermediate now, and become really levers through which the businesses can take this forward. So once again, I'm very grateful for the invite. It's almost sunrise now here in New York, so it's not too early. I think it's okay. So once again, once I'm back, I would be very keenly looking to see the follow-ups on this initiative. But with that, Harun Saab, back to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Finance Minister. Very kind of you once again for taking time out early.
वफाकी वज़ीर ख़ज़ाना मोहम्मद औरंगज़ेब CPAC सेमिनार से वीडियो लिंक के ज़रिए ख़िताब कर रहे थे। उन्होंने कहा कि मुआशी इस्तेहकाम के लिए मजबूत बुनियाद फ्राहम हो गई है। पाकिस्तान में बैरूनी सरमायाकारी के लिए साजगार मौक़े हैं। मुल्क में बैरूनी सरमायाकारी में इजाफा हो रहा है। पॉलिसी रेट कम हो रहा है। सरमायाकारों के एतमाद में इजाफा हुआ है। महंगाई और शरह सूद में कमी हुई है। हुकूमती इक़दामात से महंगाई की शरह में कमी आ रही है। पूरी उम्मीद है कि IMF $7 अरब के प्रोग्राम की मंजूरी दे देगा। उन्होंने कहा कि CPAC फेज़ 2 का आगाज़ होने जा रहा है। निजी शोबा मुल्क को तरक्की की जानिब ले जाने की सलाहियत रखता है। उन्होंने कहा कि मौशी इस्तेहकाम के लिए मजबूत बुनियाद फ्राहम हो गई है। वज़ीर ख़ज़ाना मोहम्मद औरंगज़ेब CPAC सेमिनार से वीडियो लिंक के ज़रिए ख़िताब कर रहे थे। मुल्क की मौजूदा मौशी सूरत हाल पर बात करते हुए उन्होंने कहा कि पाकिस्तान में अब पॉलिसी रेट कम हो रहा है। सरमायाकारों के एतमाद में इजाफा हुआ है। महंगाई और शरह सूद में कमी हुई है। हुकूमती इक़दामात से महंगाई की शरह में मुसलसल कमी आ रही है। पूरी उम्मीद है कि IMF $7 अरब के प्रोग्राम की मंजूरी दे देगा। PTV न्यूज़ से ये थी अब तक की ताज़ा तरीन खबर। मज़ीद खबरों और अपडेट्स के लिए आप हमारे साथ रहिए।